it's a lot of work, right? It takes time away from the things I love the most, my family especially. And so when I do anything for the fourth, it's really a labor of love because, I don't need to be doing the store, but I want to help moms find maternity clothes, help them feel comfortable in their changing bodies. And for some women, it's a really hard time because, it's such big changes, right? And, our body image is, something that some people struggle with.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Sunday Refocus. I am your host Nefemi Ashani, and this is a Style by Nef production. Today I am in a new setting and I'm here at the Fort with Iris Toon. Iris is the founder and owner of the Fort, a maternity and local store selling products from over 80 Edmonton women-owned businesses in Southgate Centre. She's also a wife, a mom of 3, and a dental hygienist by day. As the founder of The Fourth, her mission is to build a community by empowering and inspiring moms through fashion, in-store workshops, and small business collaborations. Iris was inspired to start The Fourth because she saw a need for stylish, comfy maternity clothing from her own experiences. The fourth comes from the fourth trimester, when moms need so much love and support. Sharing her own experience with postpartum anxiety, Iris is an advocate for maternal mental health. Iris, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you.
I'm so happy that I'm here with you. Thank you so much for welcoming us into your store. It is so beautiful. I'd love to know, can you please describe your style with us in 3 words?
Simple, elegant, and black.
I love it. And what message would you say or think your style conveys to the world?
For me, I just want to be comfortable and just be able to express myself through fashion. And so I think that's really important. And I want others to be able to do that too.
I love that. I feel like your store really embodies like that comfortability, nurturing spirit, and just like that, simplicity, but like elegance as well. I really love that. But yeah, I would love for us to get into the love seats and talk a bit more about your store, your journey, and just how you started. So Iris, your story of overcoming postpartum anxiety is an incredible and inspiring story centered on family, faith, friends, and community. Can you share how you stepped out of your comfort zone to begin sharing your experiences with other mothers?
For sure. I mean, it was a really big step. I'm pretty introverted, but I thought, if I was experiencing all this, there had to be other moms going through the same thing. And I thought, it was so hard to deal with. I never wanted another mom to feel as alone as I did. And I was like, what, I'll just start writing like a blog post just to share, and, who knows what will happen. And so through that, it kind of grew to, really creating a mom's group out of it, just to build that community, to let others know that, there are other moms out here going through the same thing.
I love that. I love the beginning and the starting of the journey was wanting to find community, wanting to find a place where you're heard, where you're seen, where you're accepted, right? So tell me, when did you realize it was the right time to start your own fashion brand?
So I'd been thinking about starting the fourth when I was first pregnant, and it was just really hard to kind of find what I wanted. And so kept thinking about it, but having kids is a lot of work. And so by the time I was ready to start, I was having my 3rd kid, and I was like, it's now or never. And so I wanted to just go ahead and see what I could do with it. And it took about 5 years from the initial idea to actually launching a website and a store and everything.
Wow. Could you walk us through the initial steps you took to getting started, such as whether you use personal funds or you sought out investment or applied for grants? What were those initial steps that got you to be like, okay, we've now launched our website?
So I was very lucky where I had 2 friends invest in the business. And in those first initial years of just thinking about it, I had shared this vision with quite a few people. And so I was lucky enough to have them invest. And so I didn't have to take out any loans or anything from other institutions. And so I had a good start to kind of get launched. And that's, how I got my start.
And what would you say were like the initial challenges that you had at the beginning of starting the brand?
So the greatest challenge is honestly being a mom and having 3 kids. It was a lot of like late nights. And so a lot of my work was done between like 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. just because I didn't really have any other time. Another big challenge was by the time I was ready to launch, it was actually lockdown. And so it was a big change because I had bought all these like nice dresses and everything. But moms at that time, everyone was like in loungewear and sweatpants, and no one was really looking for maternity clothes. And so that was another big change.
But you still launched, so like the fact that you're like, you know what, screw COVID, I'm gonna launch my brand. Like, did you have any sort of like anxiety of like, oh, it's COVID time, like, are people gonna, want to buy? Like, how were you able to still like navigate that season? Because like, if it was like before, even post, it's like a whole different sort of like way of viewing that people experience, right? So like, how were you able to like foster like that confidence? Like, you know what? Yeah, it's COVID, but I still wanna start my brand.
Yeah. I don't know if it was so much as confidence, just needing to push through because of all the work I put in it already. But I mean, like, I think having the kids at home, because we lost all our support network at that time. And so I was so busy with the kids and trying to just survive life that I kind of dampened the stress of like, starting a new business. And I just really didn't have as much time. I think it'd be totally different where I would have much higher expectations of having success and, really making it work. Had things been good, I had all the support I needed. So I think it kind of took off a lot of like that stress, and I was able to kind of get through it a lot easier because I was like, you know what, we're in completely different circumstances. And so I have to adjust everything.
Yeah, I know that family is very important to you, in your community. What would you say has been like the most surprising aspect of the community that you've built and are currently building with Mothers Through the Fort?
Yeah, I think the best part is how much people want to be involved. And so a big part of what we do, like you said, is a community building. And so we have a free moms group, and just sharing my vision of what I want to do. We've gone so many guest speakers. We now have 3 moms groups, and we get 2 to 3 guest speakers coming in every week. And they do it for free. They come in out of their own time, take time off work, take time away from their family, because they believe in the same vision of helping moms and really building into that community, because, we are all part of it, right? And a lot of our guest speakers have gone through similar things, and they just see the value in what we're doing here.
No, I love that. And that's one thing that stood out to me on your website. It's like the value that you've brought through having like the workshops, like, the classes with the mothers and whatnot, and how that is really, like we say, building that community of empowered women, right, in the city. And I really love that you're using your space, your store to do that, right? So you're creating this whole experience for people. Like, yes, you can come shop for a thing, but you can also really get to meet other people who are going to similar things than you, or just want that support. So I really love that you have incorporated that. Was this something that you did like early on, or was it like maybe a couple of years later, you're like, you know what, I want to start having workshops and guest speakers? Like, how did that transition come into what you offer here at the Fort?
Pretty much when I opened in Southgate, so about 2 years after I started online, and everything kind of just like step by step happened, and everything kind of fell into place. But for me, the underlying aspect was, what else can I do? How else can I help moms or small businesses? Because I experienced that same struggle. And as a mom, I found that it's really hard sometimes to find other moms, make friends. And I think, you really rely on your friends, your network. But when you have a baby, it's not like all your other friends are having babies at the same time necessarily. And so I was finding just a lot of moms who felt really isolated. Maybe they're new to the city, or, don't have any family here to support them. And so moms group kind of came about that way, where I was like, you know what, like if I don't help out, these moms might never have their group, their people. And so I just wanted to help foster, those relationships. And so that's how moms group came about. And with the workshops, I just wanted people to gather here. I thought, you know what, like I went from working in my tiny office in the in the basement to having this big space, and it's so open, it's beautiful, and it doesn't feel like any other like store in the mall. And I thought, you know what else can I do? How else can I get people to gather and, have a good time?
Yeah, no, I love that. I really love that. I know that you first initially started as your online, and now you have this amazing store that people like love coming here, not just to shop, but also for the experience of being here, right? So what would you say were the challenges you faced transitioning from online presence to the physical storefront, and how were you able to overcome those key challenges that you faced?
Yeah, it was honestly like a huge transition, because I went from being the sole employee to all of a sudden having staff and learning how to hire people, training them, how to manage all this inventory, because I was doing strictly just the maternity and nursing clothes online before. But once I opened in Southgate, I brought in over 20 local businesses, and having to manage their inventory, to talking to all these other people all of a sudden. It was just a lot of extra work on top of what I was already doing. And, just working in a mall environment was totally different too. And, there's a lot of challenges in being a boss. And, like I've only been like a worker before and having coworkers. And so it was really interesting to be like, okay, now, I have to make the decisions, and like people are looking up to me to, figure things out. And so that was a big challenge too, where it's like, okay, like, I'm relying on me, people are relying on me. And yeah, it was, like just a lot to overcome, but I felt, it was really fun to do it. And I'm always learning, like I'm always trying to figure out, how do I do better?
Yeah, I love that. I love how, from that transition of being online to here, you had to sort of like step up into this position of like leadership.
Yes.
And navigate what leadership means for you and what a successful leader is, right? And through the team you've been able to build, and how you've been able to sustain yourself, you can see the reflect every time I come into the store, how the lady would just like smile at me, you know what I mean? So just like, I love the energy that you've been able to foster and create, and it starts from the leadership position, right? So it's beautiful that you've been able to, take those challenges and like, you know what, I'm going to push through, so that's really beautiful. And you mentioned that early when you started with 20 brands, right? Local brands, and now you have like over 80.
Yes.
So walk me through the process of like how you're able to curate the fashion brands, the artisans that are here in Edmonton. Like, what's that process for you, and what do you look for when you're picking a specific brand?
Yeah, so when I first started, it was me reaching out to people and just seeing online, like, from the websites or Instagram or Etsy. And I'd be like, you know what, I think this is a good fit. Like, this is something I would buy for myself or for someone I know as a gift. And so that's how we started off. But as we grew, people started to reach out to us, which was amazing. And it was, like businesses that we had here, they would tell, other businesses they knew, or even shoppers here, they'd be like, hey, like I make something. And I'd be like, great, like show me what you make. And so for me, like I curate a lot, because we mainly tailor it to moms or people gifting for moms. And so it's a lot of, okay, what would moms like? But we also have lots of people who are just browsing the mall and they just want to support local and want something cute to take home. And so it's a big mix of everything. But I think at the end of the day, like if it's something I would buy for myself or for someone else, I know, like, that's kind of
like that. I like how intentional you go about like picking who would be in the store, and like you said, it's a reflection of like what you love, right? So it's like, here, come into my world, enter my universe, you know what I mean? And like, and shop with me, experience life with me, right? So I love how intentional and how you've been able to grow it to like over 80 local businesses. Like that's amazing. And I'm looking forward to seeing you have even more, right? So maybe you might have to get another place or something, right? Like a whole mall to yourself, right? That would be so really interesting, like having like local like Edmontonian designers like an actual mall. Like that would be like really interesting. But I love how the journey started with, you were intentional about reaching out. And I could only imagine like possibly like the closed doors of like, oh, people are replying to emails. People are like, oh, I'm not interested. Or like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. But you kept on like reaching out. And now you're here where you are today and you're still growing and evolving. I'd love to like, what do you love most about being the founder and owner of the Fort?
The ability to just connect with others. I think as a dental hygienist, like I love talking to my patients, but as the owner of the Fourth, I'm able to meet a whole entirely new set of people. And so I love, learning from our small businesses and hearing their stories, like the owners of like why they make what they make, or like if they have a new product, it's like, hearing the story of what inspired it. And, you really hear personal stories of, maybe they started their business because of, something that happened in their family. Maybe it was, their mental health and they needed something to do to get them out of, that phase in their life. And there's just so many different stories. And so it's really amazing just to hear like the whys of what people do. And like I love that personal connection of being able to meet people and, even meeting my customers too. Like that's totally different. Whereas online, it's like you don't get to do that. You just get the emails or the DMs. It's just totally different.
No, for real. I love that. It reminded me of this conversation I was having with a mentor a week ago. And he mentioned something about, when you're dressing, think about what stories you're wearing. Like, what stories am I wearing? Who am I wearing? So it's like as you were sharing of like, oh, you get to hear the stories of why somebody started, making clothing, or why they wanted to make soaps or whatever it may be, right? And that just really amplifies the importance and the impact of why it's here, because people are shopping someone's story, someone's experiences, someone's life. You know what I mean? So I love how you take that in consideration when you even curate the people that you have in the space, because you're now finding the way of connectivity, right? Because I feel a lot of people can communicate, can write online, I love this, I love that, but until like you sit one-on-one, you then have like that deep connection with them, like, oh wow, like I wouldn't have known, you know what I mean? So I just love how like, even like your day job being a dental hygienist, like it has its influences to what you do, even as a founder and an owner, and getting to meet people on a day-to-day basis. So that to me is very, very beautiful. I take pride in understanding, what people's stories are and wanting to learn about it if you're open to sharing, right? So it's a beautiful thing. I would love to know, like, I remember on your website, you mentioned that you're a woman of God. Like, I would love to know, like, how has your faith in God influenced your approach in running your business?
It has a huge impact. And for me, like love, I think, is the basis of what I do. And it's, how do I love others, and, to do it with no strings attached. And doing the store, it's a lot of work, right? It takes time away from the things I love the most, my family especially. And so when I do anything for the Fourth, it's really a labor of love, because I don't need to be doing the store, but I want to help moms find maternity clothes, help them feel comfortable in their changing bodies. And for some women, it's a really hard time, because, it's such big changes, right? And, our body image is, something that some people struggle with. And, with moms too, after who deal with depression or anxiety, right? And so I want to, just be there, be present for moms as much as I can. And, like everyone who works here, they understand this vision of everything we do, is really for others, right? And that's one thing I'm really appreciative of, where they can continue this vision of, of just loving others and caring for them, and, really showing compassion. It's amazing to see what my team does for other moms. And, I don't have to say anything, right? It's like it's almost like it's instilled in them that they just know when they act, because that's how they feel in the store.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I feel like from what you're saying, I can just see like it's this burning, like this burden in you, but also like a calling. Like you feel like you have to step to this calling. Because at times, one thing I've realized in life, that everyone's stage of understanding who they are and why they're here, it is different, right? You may know very early on in your life, you may know years later, right? So like in the experience that you experience with like postpartum, like that awoken something in you. And you're like, wait, this is how I was able to go through it. This is the support I was able to gain from it. I want to help other people so that they don't feel alone. So in a way, you are living this legacy of, you know what, those who come after me, they don't have to go through it as painful. You know what I mean? So you're breaking these chains. And that's one thing I feel like as you're speaking, how the Lord is using you through your story. And it's a very beautiful thing that you touched upon, love, a labor of love, how like you don't have to do this, but you feel called to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a very beautiful thing. And I really appreciate you expressing that with me. I'd love to know, like, if you could offer one piece of advice to aspiring fashion brand owners, or, one thing about the podcast that we do is want to encourage other creatives to see that they can do it too. You know what I mean? It's like they're not alone. We're sharing stories so that we can see, the different facets of how people were able to get to where they are today. So if you could give an advice to an aspiring fashion brand owner, what would it be, drawing from your experiences and the challenges that you have overcome?
Really relying on your community. And I think it's a very general term, but I think you really need to reach out to others and to not be afraid to make these new connections. Like, don't be afraid to send an email or, a DM to someone you don't know, because you don't know how you might connect. And I've been so lucky to really meet all these new people because I had to, whether I wanted, more guest speakers for my mom's group, or I wanted more brands in the store to sell their products here. And I think, I've met really good people, and a lot of them have become friends, and I've been, so lucky to do that. So I think, start small and, keep going. Like, you'll get the rejections, you'll get, people who ignore you, but that's okay, right?
It is okay, guys. It is so okay. Like, I've been through it where it's like, I remember I wanted to go to New York Fashion Week, because I was like, I want to style for like a brand. And the way every single day I'd be sending emails, and I wasn't getting anything until I think it was like a week before New York Fashion Week. Like, one of the brands reached out to me, and I was like, yo, it's a week. How am I going to get there? So I didn't end up going, but at least I was like, one person at least reached out of like all the people I emailed. I was like, you know what? Just keep pushing. Like, just because other people didn't reach, it doesn't matter. Like, you know that you're meant to do this.
Yes.
You need to continue the drive of getting there. I feel like at times people feel like a no to them is like a hit to like their character or the capabilities. And it's like, it's not that. Sometimes it's just not the timing. The timing is so big on timing, right? So I love that you shared that, be intentional about building the community and reaching out, even if it's like somebody you feel like may not respond. You never know where it may lead to, right?
Exactly.
So, no, I really like that. Thank you for sharing that. Looking ahead, where do you envision yourself professionally, let's say in the next 3 years? And what is one milestone you hope to achieve along the way for the fourth?
Professionally, I think, I just want to like keep this going. Like, I don't have any grand plans, to be honest. I feel like at times just kind of fell into my lap. And, like with my faith journey, it was just kind of like, okay, God, like, I'm here. I'll just try, whatever you want me to do. And so I never had plans to start a business or own a store and do all of this. And so for me, like 3 years, I hope I'm still going to be doing the same thing and, really advocating for maternal mental health in whatever aspect that may be. And one thing I hope to achieve is just getting more services for moms postpartum. Because a lot of times, like when you're pregnant, your insurance will pay for, anything like massage, physio, all those things. But once you have your baby, you're on EI, you're, not on insurance anymore. And so it's very costly, especially things dealing with your mental health. And so I really want moms to be able to access that without having to make, tough financial choices.
No, that'll be amazing. And I feel like the way you're building up the brand and bringing people, the speakers, and creating more awareness, like that also create awareness of your brand and of who you are. And I'm praying, God willing, like the Lord will bring those people to you. You don't have to do so much work to trying to get them or reach out to them. And it's like, you know what, the way you're positioned, the way you're moving with faith and obedience, that the Lord would just let you know exactly where to find the people and who your destiny's helpers are, and then they will come to you at the appointed time, by God's grace. Amen. That's amazing. Reflecting on your role in the fashion scene here in Edmonton, what changes do you hope to see within the industry? And is there anything exciting you're currently doing to contribute to the change you want to see here?
I would love for people to support local and shop local. So a lot of the maternity brands I carry are made in Canada. And currently there are none in Edmonton. Actually, no, sorry, I should say there's one in Edmonton, but I would like to see more. And, there's crazy amount of talent here. And it's just hard as a small business. Like you have all these ideas, but what's holding you back are finances and sales, right? And so we can get these businesses, doing well and just really supporting them in ways we can, and just seeing how they can flourish, because it's hard to see someone who's like, I have all these ideas but I just can't make it work, right? It's that struggle. And I
remember we were talking earlier about how that is one thing that you try to mitigate as a brand. It's like reducing the pressure on making sales or finding a place and how you can make sales, so like people can come. They can be part of the fourth, right? They can go through the process of ensuring that, okay, they're ready to be part of the store, and that you guys are, taking that over, like less stress on them. So, I'd love to know, in what way do you go about supporting the brand when it comes to, let's say, the inventory or whatnot, to mitigate those stresses that they would face on the day-to-day as a brand owner?
I think, just keeping them in the loop and just trying to restock as often as possible, and just, just say encouraging words. Like I try to do video calls and, emails, whatever it is, whatever form of communication, I try to stay positive and, give them words of affirmation and just let them know that, hey, you're doing a great job. Because as a business owner, a lot of times you're just looking at the numbers, right? And that doesn't speak to a lot of things that you're actually doing. And so I think trying to take away from that perspective and really focusing, hey, what are you doing well in? Let's think about that.
No, I love that. And this will be my last question for today. What is one thing that you believe the Edmonton fashion scene needs for it to grow, and how can we start today?
More awareness of brands. I think a lot of people, they want to support local, but they don't know how or where to start. And so if there is a way for just people to learn more about all the amazing places and businesses here, I think that'd be a really good start.
I love that. Thank you so much, Iris, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. Before we conclude, could you please let our audience know where they can connect with you further and learn more about the Fourth?
Yeah, for sure. So you can find us here at the Fourth in Southgate Centre. We are on the second level, right above the Lego store and guest services. And you can also find us online, www.the-fourth.ca. And we're always here and ready to meet you.
Awesome. Thank you. Big thank you to all of you all for your active participation and thoughtful engagement throughout this series. For those interested in revisiting today's conversation, Please do check out our websites and our YouTube and our streaming platforms. And if you want to check out the resources that Iris has curated, we do have that on our website as well. We would love to express our sincere gratitude to our sponsors, Strong Coffee Marketing, our production studio partner, and Find Edmonton, our set design partner, for their generous support in making today's podcast possible. Your contribution is greatly valued. Till next time, thank you all. Bye. Thank you for tuning into Sunday Refocus, where we embark on a journey of empowerment and growth for emerging creatives in the fashion industry. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you've been inspired by the stories and advice shared by today's guest feature, please don't forget to like this, subscribe to our podcast channel, follow us on Instagram, and share this with your fellow creative friends.